Does the idea of speaking on camera or on stage send shivers down your spine? Is it something you'd like to be good at, but just don't know where to start? Well, today's guest, Jacqui Maloney, is a public speaking and media coach who helps leaders own the mic without losing themselves in the process. In this episode, I chat with Jacqui. She's an actor, a voice artist, and speaking coach for a conversation packed with insights, humour, and wisdom gained through her experience. Jacqui went from growing up in Perth and dreaming of acting on Home and Away to studying in New York with coaches who've trained stars like Bradley Cooper and Nicole Kidman. Her story is one of bold choices, perseverance, and reinvention. But what really shines through is her deep love for storytelling, not just in her own performances, but in helping others discover their voice, feel confident on camera, and speak with real impact. We cover a wide range of topics from auditioning for TV shows and overcoming imposter syndrome to learning the importance of asking for help. She also shares some incredible practical communication tips. So if you ever freeze up when you're on camera or you're looking to tell your story in a way that truly resonates, this episode is definitely for you. So let's dive in. Jacqui, thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, Tom. I'm very excited for this chat.
Now, you're an actor, you're a speaking coach, and you found yourself here on the beautiful Sunshine Coast. Let's rewind back to growing up in Perth.
Yes.
What was that like? And yeah, what were you like as a kid and what were you interested in? And what sparked that journey to become an actor and voice coach?
Yeah. Perth is a great place to grow up. I'm not going to lie. It's very open. It's very family friendly. And when people go to visit, they're just like, oh, I see it now. It's the beaches. It's the lifestyle. But for me, it was never big enough. And I guess I had dreams and aspirations. And from a very young age, I knew I wanted to be an actress. If you ask my mum the question, what did she want to be when she grew up? She would say she wanted to be an actress on Home and Away.
Every Australian's dream, really, isn't
every
it?
Australian, yeah. It's either that or Neighbours. And look, I've auditioned twice for Home and Away now. So look, third time's a charm, I'm sure. But from a very young age, that was always it for me. I was definitely what you consider the theatre kid. Just loved singing and dancing. I've definitely got fond memories and photos of like those really plastic, tacky instruments that, you know, still were loud enough to annoy your family. But that was just where I found my freedom and love, I guess. I really just loved the performing side of things. I definitely got into sports and what have you. But yeah, the performance was it for me. That's where it felt me. So
did you do drama all throughout school and into the later years of high school? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So through high school, I actually did extracurricular speech and drama lessons. My coach at the time was this lovely old lady. She was the tiniest little thing that you've ever mentioned, English, and she had this white hair and she would always have her foundation like in her white hair. She'd have this, you know, really bright, vibrant blue eyeshadow. I mean, I can just picture her now, but she was just so wonderful. And she really made me believe in the power of using your voice and storytelling. And so then I would just take that to do the musicals, and I did drama studies as one of my final year topics or subjects, I guess. It was, it's always been there for me.
Yeah, nice. Also did drama. Love drama.
Yeah.
It was so fun.
All kids should get into drama. I think you just need to allow them the space and the freedom to try things and fail and it not be the end result. It's just part of the process.
Yep.
And I've taught kids before with public speaking skills. And when parents bring them along on the day, they're just like, oh, they're always gaming. They're always on their computers. I just need to get them out of their shells. You give them some acting exercises to do and watch their little brains just go, oh, what do you mean? I'm allowed to yell or I'm allowed to do this? It's like, yes, you are. And then their whole worlds just expand and it's a joy to actually watch.
Yeah. I notice even with my little boy, we might be kicking the footy or anything like that, but the thing that actually he loves most is being the character.
Yes.
And the storytelling. And I'm only just realizing it. I'm like, hang on. The part you love is actually being the person and being the star and the character. And I'm this person, I'm doing this. And it's storytelling.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that tool that happens so early. And it's so instinctual, isn't it, at a very young age?
Yeah.
That was you. Yep. You were the drama queen.
Yep.
But you didn't do it in university.
No.
Why not?
No. The stats for being a full-time working actor are not great. They're definitely there's not something that you'd go home to mum and dad and just be like, great, I'm going to be a full-time actor, mum and dad, and I'll be fine. I think it's 99% of actors worldwide are not working full-time. So when you think of everyone who's in Hollywood, that really just takes up that 1%. Everyone else has got 2 or 3 jobs that they're working part-time. So it's not a career that I would jump at thinking I'm going to have financial security and everything's going to be fine. But it was just something that nagged at me for a very long time. I went to university to appease my parents and just to sort of get them off my back. And I did well, but I wasn't engaged. I wasn't interested. I basically got the bare minimum for my grades. And I actually dropped out of uni and I didn't tell my parents that I was doing it. I signed up to a 6-month acting course and I had moved to Sydney by then. And I just went, this is it. It was only 1 day a week, but it was just that one day that I looked forward to over anything else. And I just went, okay, all right, it's back. I can't turn it off now. It's just ingrained in me. And yeah, that's kind of where it all started for me, which was exciting, but also really scary at the same time.
So it became clear to you that the thing that was lighting your fire inside was acting.
Yeah.
Was that creative spark.
Yeah. It's
what
just
were you
performing.
studying?
Commerce.
Really? So it was chalk and cheese.
Yeah, it really was.
Yep. You weren't even in the arts or anything. It was commerce over here, acting over here.
I like the idea of commerce because it allowed you to try a few different things. You had your marketing, you had your management, you could go into economics and all of that kind of stuff to see what you liked. So I loved the variety of it. But yeah, there was no inkling of performance other than presenting a group presentation at some point. I was like, yeah, I'm looking forward to this, but not everything else.
You would have starred in those commerce
absolutely.
presentations.
It was a group presentation, but I took the limelight when it came to the actual presenting of it.
And so what was the next step of your journey into acting? How did you, I guess, tell your parents that, Mum and Dad, this is actually what I want to do?
When I was in this part-time acting course, I remember one of my tutors saying that he'd gone to New York to study. And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. And they really encouraged me, if it was available, to go and train with these 2 particular coaches over there. And these coaches work with Bradley Cooper and Nicole Kidman. And I was like, oh my God, I think when you're 23 and you don't have any responsibilities, or you really have no idea about how you think you know how the world works, but you have no concept whatsoever. And I remember coming back to Perth and taking my parents out for coffee because I wanted to tell them in a very public place. It was very strategic. I thought I was so clever. But I did say to them, I would like to go and train 6 months in New York. And I really didn't even give them the option. I'm just like, I'm doing this. And it was just hands down one of the best experiences of my life to date.
Wait, what was their reaction to that?
Look, my parents are not great at expressing emotions at the best of times. And then I think just amplifying that in a very public cafe, it was, I guess, more shock than anything else. But I'd booked tickets. I'd done everything.
Oh, right. So
yeah.
They didn't have a choice.
They really didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
And, they fought me tooth and nail over it, of course. But I was very persistent and very strong-willed at that age. And I said, I'm going, and yeah, just let me do this.
So you found yourself in New York, the city that never sleeps.
Never sleeps.
What was that like? I mean, from Perth, you're saying small, while you've gone the other end of the spectrum and you're in New York.
Yeah.
With a coach that's with Bradley Cooper and all these Hollywood stars of today. What was that experience like?
I mean, I'd never been to America before. And I think up until then, I'd really only experienced Southeast Asia as overseas. And so this was just an absolute culture shock. I was working for tips at a restaurant just to keep myself afloat, but I was probably in acting classes 5 nights a week. And the very first class that I was in, we started at 6 p.m. and we finished at 4 a.m. the next day. And so it was just it was crazy. People from all over the world came to work with these particular coaches, and she was flying out to work with Nicole Kidman on something. So this was the last night that she was in town. So I think there were about 35 people in this class. And I'd obviously never experienced anything like it. I'd been in New York for maybe 48 hours, still jet lagged, still trying to figure out my way around the city. But it showed me the professionalism and the work that it takes to get to that level, because I had done it very amateur back here in Australia, part-time acting course. I'm not going to really get anywhere. To see where professionals and those who are dedicated to the craft, what they put into it, I was just like, okay, I need to amp my game up big time. Because
what were some of the things that you noticed that the pros were doing?
It was the time and commitment that they put into class outside of the classroom hours. Yeah, they were.
Did they stay in character when they go?
Yeah, we were ordering our like $1 slices of pizza with an accent or something like that. A very, Robert De Niro in Taxi. No, we didn't do that. But it was reading up on all of the incredible texts, Shakespeare. We were reading things about Stanislavski and all the incredible acting teachers that have come before us. And so we were consumed by what we were doing. It was definitely not a part-time thing. And I think that was really important to me, is realizing that if you want something bad enough, you've got to go all in. You've got to commit to it. You've got to do the work. The classroom is where we get to play and stretch our muscles, but it's outside that's where the real work happens. And so that was the big defining moment for me. I was just like, I'm not doing enough. Not even close.
There's magic in commitment, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. And environment as well.
Speaking of environment, you just sparked something in me. I've been to New York once.
Yeah.
And I always remember the first time I walked down the street, my friend was like bright-eyed young country boys from Australia just going, wow, we're in New York. And I always remember like, it just feels like you're on a movie set.
It does, yeah.
The whole time I'm like, I've seen this before. I've been here before. Like, but not only the environment and the buildings and the landscape, but the people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I swear to God, one conversation I overheard was two guys just talking, and then they said their goodbyes. And then I just remember one going, hey, Joey. Yeah? Just remember, be careful down there. Like, and I had to look around, I'm like, are we on a movie set? Like, is there cameras roll? It's just literally like it's a movie and there's scripts and there's things going on.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just thought I'd add that because that just took me back to the movie set of New York.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why so many shows, films, they're all based in New York. It's something that's really familiar to everyone. And we might never have been. But I grew that year, that time for me was all about Sex in the City, which is all about New York. So we would go past the building that Carrie's apartment was in, and where they would go and have brunch. And I'm just like, oh my God. But yeah, it's a magical place. If you've never been, please go.
Excellent. And so what did you come away from New York? Did you feel that sense of confidence that I'm a real deal actor now? Or did you feel like you still had a ways to go, but you picked up some nice skills?
Yeah, I definitely didn't walk away thinking I've got this in the bag just yet. It really made me understand that this was the beginning of the work. I'd gone and trained now. I'd lived and breathed being in New York for that period of time. But when I got back to Australia, I actually had to put my foot on the pedal. And I think one of the biggest lessons for me living in New York was understanding that I'm such a small part of something much bigger. And I learned how to be vulnerable for the very first time. I think I shared before, my parents are not very emotionally driven humans, but I am. And I guess I had created a bit of a barrier or a wall of I don't want to show too much emotion because I've been taught that that's not safe. It's a sign of weakness. And being in New York really, it forced me to drop that because I had to ask for help. I couldn't rely on my family. They're now halfway around the other side of the world. They couldn't come and get me if there was an emergency. So I had to rely on others and I had to learn how to ask. And that was just something I'd never done before. It was you ask for help or do whatever. Oh, no. That means that you haven't got this all figured out. It's a sign of weakness. But so that was a huge learning curve for me being there, aside from all of the acting training. But I knew I wanted to go back to New York. I haven't. It's still on the list. But coming back to Australia, it was just the start of, right, now I know what's expected of me. I'm really going to get to work.
You brought up something really important there, like it's okay to ask for help.
Yep.
How do you get out of your own way to do that? There must be people out there listening right now who are like, yeah, that's me. I don't want to bother someone. I don't want to ask for help.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for those people?
I've had experiences in my life where I've gone either way. And when I've sat in, I don't want to bother people. I don't want to burden them with my problems, health, feelings of being down and out and just really not having anywhere, or thinking that there's a way out of things. Not only does it not help me, but it also doesn't allow people in my life who can see that I'm struggling help, for them to have the ability to help. If I keep saying no, 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 or if I don't give them dialogue to use or whatever, they feel as helpless as I do. So nobody wins. On the flip side, I've had experiences in my life where I've asked friends and family to save certain dates in their phones, or they know that certain times of the year aren't good for me, or, hey, I'm just struggling with some cash at the moment. Can you help me out and I'll pay you back? And they're just like, yeah, absolutely, I can do that. Thank you for sharing that with me, because I really wasn't sure what you needed from me. So now I feel like a really bad friend. So that kind of started things for me. And then in business, we all know what running a small business is like, and it can be lonely and it can be frustrating, and sometimes an offer's not working or you're pitching and it's just falling on, deaf ears. Great. Ask for help. Ask for some feedback. Can you read this for me? Is it translating the way I think it is? No, dude, I don't think it is. Can we switch this up? And you're just like, God, thank you. I just needed someone to bounce ideas off of. So it has allowed me the freedom to ask more rather than less. And life gets to be easier when it doesn't have to be so hard.
And a byproduct of all that, I think, is you form deeper connections.
Yes.
People love it. Almost at the center of communication and connection is revealing a bit of yourself.
Yeah.
And the vulnerability. No, vulnerability is a bit of a buzzword, but that's what it is, isn't it? It's revealing a bit of yourself, and we're all human.
Yep.
And we can all understand and connect with that.
Yeah.
All right, a quick word from one of our sponsors, and then we'll get right back to the show. Today's sponsor is... Oh, hey, it's me, Tom from Raw Lens. At Raw Lens, we create impactful video and stills content that captivates your community. If you're a business, organization, or individual with a message to share, then let's chat. Book your free Creative Spark session today at rawlensmedia.com. Let's bring your vision to life. Okay, back to me in the show. Okay, you're in Melbourne. You're an actor. Oh,
Yep.
sorry.
I know, it's very confusing. I went back to Sydney after New York. Yeah. So very soon after, I got an agent, started doing some TV commercials and little bits and pieces. I remember my very first TV commercial was for KFC. Oh, yeah. And I'm a vegetarian now, but being on that set and having to eat copious amounts of KFC, and look, I don't want to, ruin the fantasy, but we do have what's called spit buckets. So, yeah. Yeah, I'll leave that there.
Yeah, sure. Did that commercial make you vegetarian?
No, but it should have. It really should have, because that was an interesting day.
What was it like doing one of the first sort of TV commercials or like paid gigs as an actor with their nerves?
Oh, yeah.
And imposter syndrome? What came up for you?
All of the above.
Yeah.
All of the above. And it's really easy to just spend life as a student. There's safety in the classroom, and you never really think about what happens when you're out on set by yourself now. You don't have your coach, you don't have your agent, you don't have all your buddies that you're in acting class with. And now suddenly you have to fend for yourself, and you have to be a representation of not only yourself but your agent as well. Imposter syndrome has come hot and heavy on every film set I've ever been on. And you just keep thinking to yourself, why did they book me? Maybe you're up to take 15, and some of those takes have not been because of your performance. Maybe it's light, maybe it's sound, maybe it's, art department wanting to come in and just change this glass from this angle to that angle. Like, there's so many elements involved in a shot, but you just keep thinking, oh, it's me, it's my performance. And I've really had to surrender in those moments and think, actually, do you know what? I've put a lifetime of work into what it is that I do. I am really good at this because I was booked. I get booked frequently. And you just have to take those deep breaths. And when a camera or a microphone is like this far away from you, there's really nowhere to hide anyway.
So you embrace it.
You embrace it. I think a lot of my confidence is built off of action. When I sit back and try and overanalyze and think everything through and doing whatever, that's actually worse for me. I'm better off getting into the space, screwing up a few times, and then I go, okay, cool, this worked, that worked. Director loved that shot, so I'm going to do that again. And then that's where I build my confidence, is on the ground doing it, experiencing it in real life.
Awesome. Somewhere along the journey, you've decided to move and pivot the space that you work in towards teaching others to be comfortable in the space, I guess, and present their best selves and embrace it, all the things that you've overcome in your journey or still working through, like we all are, and getting comfortable with. How did that change come about? How did you move into the space of coaching and speaking?
Yeah, I loved what you mentioned about pivoting. And I think my answer to your question is COVID was the reason I had to pivot. It was a reason lots of people had to pivot in business. And just, I think, as I shared before, the stats about being a full-time working actor are not great. But I was almost at that time in my career where I was getting enough voiceover, doing enough, TV commercials, and I was living quite comfortably. And so I was like, yes, I've got it. After all of these years, finally, I've got something to show for it. And then COVID just shut everyone down. I remember being on set for a TV commercial for cash converters, and they were just trying to push us through before hard lockdown was in effect. So what a time to be alive. But everything stopped for us as actors. No auditions. I think actually going back to Home and Away and Neighbours, they were the only productions afforded the license or the insurance to operate during COVID. Everything else got shut down.
Yeah.
And so overnight, we just almost became nothing. And I shared this on a podcast the other day. It was so frustrating. During COVID, what were we all binge watching at the time? It was like Tiger King on Netflix. We were reading more. We were listening to more audiobooks. We were listening to musicians on Spotify. All of these were because of creatives. And yet we had said to them, no, you're non-essential. You don't get to work. You're on benefits now, or you're just trying to get by. But it was the storytellers. It was the people creating things that made us not think about the terribleness of COVID and people getting sick and people losing their livelihoods. So it was such this frustration of, I'd given my life to create something for others, and now a 17-year-old can keep working at Woolies, but I can't. And that was so infuriating. But I guess it was the catalyst for me to do something more. And that's when I got into speaking coaching and teaching people how to show up on camera, because Zoom came in hot and heavy, baby, and no one knew what they were doing.
Was there ever a moment where you found out that, I've got a skill here to teach?
Yeah. It took a business coach to tell me that, though.
Okay.
Yeah. I was ready to go back to uni and study teaching or psychology or whatever. I was just like, no one needs an actor outside of a TV set. But it was a business coach that said to me, you already possess so many skills that lots of us don't have. We don't know how to communicate. We don't know how to show up on Zoom. But we had professional speakers all over the world. Their whole, jobs, that all of their opportunities got shut down overnight. But they could still speak. It was just now how do I present on camera? Very, very different beast to speaking live in front of an audience. So that's where it started. I definitely had that conflict of, but my identity is an actor. And so I didn't want to leave that, but it was about just finding that through line and figuring out how can I have the best of both worlds.
And why do you think it's so important to communicate well and to, whether it's on stage or in front of camera, be able to tell a good story?
Yeah. Storytelling cuts through unlike anything else. when we can connect to others, to a mission, to an idea, to a concept through storytelling, it resonates on a deeper level. We remember it. We can align ourselves with our values or our own experiences way more than if I was to, just share content with you for this entire podcast. Like, I think we have access to so much free information. If you wanted to go and learn how to be a brilliant public speaker, you would have a million videos on YouTube about it. You would be able to Google blog articles about the 5 C's of confidence or whatever. Like, there's so much free stuff out there. Where you would invest in a coach is now just saying, how do I bring that to life? How do I bring the story that you've written to life off of the page and actually connect human to human? And when you can communicate that in a way, it's potent, it's palpable, it resonates, it engages. If you can't do that, there's this missing piece here. And I'm just like, you're brilliant at what you do, but I'm never going to learn from you because the way you communicate is really monotonous or very bland, or you're very stuck in, here is the A to Z of doing something, rather than here is point D. And I'm going to use an example of a client that I've worked with before and how it's worked for them. Immediately, I want that. I don't want the A to Z. I want to know how this part works. And that's where storytelling and communication is so important.
It's almost like almost everyone needs to be great at 2 things in their life, so people might be great computer technicians or accountants or whatever it might be, but if you can add communication to whatever it is you do, how potent is that?
Yeah.
How incredible is that? And what opportunities are in store for people who can piece that together, who can learn those tips and tricks to communicate well, do you think?
There are so many things that people can do, but I guess I want to distill it down into digestible, actionable tips for people listening right now. And people often haven't thought about what their story is. I'm sure you've experienced it before, where someone's just kind of going around in circles, they're waffling, there's really no structure to their story, and you're just like, I can't even remember what you started talking about. We've all been there ourselves. And when someone understands the true essence of their story and gets straight to the point, that's potent. What I would add to that is, when we figure out what that story is, how can I then make things relevant and relatable to my audience? And so my dad is a tragic for this, and he will repeat the same story over and over again. Doesn't matter who he's in front of. I've heard the same story from my dad 100 times, and I'm bored. I don't get anything new from it, but he has no reference point to who he's speaking to. So once you know who your story is, I really want you to figure out, who are you talking to? Because the way I would talk to you about my story might be slightly different to how I present my story on a stage in front of 100 people. I've got to manage that audience. And so it's understanding intimately who they are and what they need from me, rather than sitting in ego just going, I've got this story to tell and I've got all these great expertise. But if that's flying over the heads of 90% of your audience, well, you're just missing such a crucial element and piece to the puzzle. So figuring out what your story is and condensing it down into something that's bite-sized and digestible. You didn't want me to know, you didn't ask me like how I was when I was 3. It's not relevant. Has no play on what I'm doing now. In fact, side note, I've worked in hospitality for almost 20 years of my life. It's a huge part of my story. But when I talk to potential clients, when I jump on stage, when I'm on a podcast, it never comes up. Why? Because it's not relevant. So we don't need to know everything. I need you to find the most important parts and really flesh that out to connect with your audience. So figure out your story, knowing who your audience is, and then it's time to perform. And I know introverts are probably screaming in their ears right now, just going, but I'm not an actor and I'm not an extrovert. But the way in which you can tell your story through verbal communication, through your non-verbal actions, that is the final piece to the puzzle. because you can have done all of your homework, but if you can sit there and just deliver it in monotone, no inflection, really just boring, then all of that hard work is for nothing, because your audience is just going to be like, okay, I'm going on to the next person.
Yeah. There's a few elements at play there, isn't it, to grab your audience, but knowing who your audience is so critical. You just reminded me of, I was filming Dr. Carl for a university seminar.
I love Dr. Carl.
Everyone loves Dr. Carl because he's a great storyteller.
Great storyteller.
And great presenter. But he was presenting for a big seminar, and I was filming him backstage and as he's doing his bits and pieces before he goes on, and he was almost like rewriting his whole presentation. And I was sort of just like, oh, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you up to? He's like, I've seen the crowd and it's not quite for them.
Yep.
I'm redoing it for those people.
Yep.
And so speaking just to what you said then, is that is the great presenters talk to the people.
Yes.
They angle it, tweak it where necessary for the people and the audience they're talking to.
Yeah.
You need to tell your dad, change up your story.
Oh my gosh, there's many things I need to tell my dad about his communication skills, but we'll leave that for a different chat.
Now, what about people like they're just nervous? And which, I'm a camera operator. I've been that all my years. So old now and so wise.
So wise.
All my career, I meant to say, as a director and a camera operator. But I would say 99% of people are nervous.
Yeah.
Even those who you think would be confident are a little bit nervous or a little bit uneasy sometimes when the microphone's on, the cameras are there, the lights are there. What would you say to the people out there who are nervous, who do have to do a presentation or get in front of the camera, but they are just petrified?
Yeah.
How do they get out of that space? How do they get a little bit more comfortable?
Yeah. The first thing to understand is that stop trying to get rid of your nerves, because the more you try to stop something, the harder it's going to come for you. And I have my imposter syndrome. I have my inner critic. I have her, right? Her name's Becky with the good hair. And she sits on my left shoulder. She's here right now in the room with us doing this podcast. And she's telling me over and over again, don't put yourself out there. Who are you to speak on Tom's podcast? No one knows you in the Sunshine Coast. What are you doing? And so she and I have a discussion before I do everything that looks like it's outside of my comfort zone. She wants to try and keep me small. That's what our conscious does. But she and I are at this stage in our relationship now, because we've known each other for quite some time now, where I'll quite often say to her, look, I know what you're doing here, but I've got bigger things to worry about. There is an element of Jacqui who's over there that I really want to get to. And this podcast is an opportunity for me to take that next step forward. So I hear you. I'm going to do everything in my power to be ready for this podcast, to try and just settle her down. I'm going to think about the questions that you've sent me. I'm going to make sure that I've got plenty of water. I'm lubricated. My mouth's not dry. I'm going to wear clothes that are comfortable, so I'm not thinking about how I look and how I'm sitting and all that sort of stuff. I'm going to do everything in my power to prepare me for today. And then that just leaves me to be completely free and open to listen and respond to what it is that you're saying. I can still hear her. She's still going off in my ear, but there's something greater at play that I want more than listening to her and letting her bring me back and make me small.
This is a silly question.
Not at all.
Is that a conscious decision to personify that?
Yeah.
It's not just an analogy you use.
No.
That's actually what you do.
Yeah.
Right.
It's what I do.
Yeah.
It's much the same that when people so a lot of my clients hate speaking on Instagram stories, right? We know we have to do it. The online space is loud and it's not quieting down anytime soon. And we know that by showing up and sharing our face and sharing a bit about us helps connect the dots between you being a potential client or a business that I want to work with, and narrowing it down from the 5 or 10 that I've maybe gone and researched. I'm just like, oh, well, I've watched a couple of your videos, Tom, and I love your vibe and I love the projects that you do. So I feel we could work really, really well together. So showing up is so important in business. it's no longer a nice to have now. It's just, it almost is you have to. And when we look down the barrel of the camera, and that's foreign to so many people. Looking at my face, it's just like, oh, I look like this or I look like that. And so I get people to figure out who their best client is. And I do this exercise with them. I get them to close down their eyes and I just think, I want you to picture your favorite client. What color hair do they have? What color eyes do they have? And what's their name? Kelly, Joanne, David, Tom, whatever it needs to be. Great, cool. So you've got Tom in your mind. Great. I want you to think about, after you've worked with Tom, what has he said to you that's been really complimentary? Like, oh my God, I can't believe that, you created this incredible brand video. We've actually had so many inquiries come in. We have to close our books. Like, it's amazing. I've never had this kind of traction before. Thank you so much. I want you to think about that as they're saying, as you're sort of visualizing that. And then suddenly I watch the person that I'm doing this exercise with. Their shoulders relax. They have this smile on their face. They have like this color in their cheeks because they've heard a compliment. And so now I'm starting to think about Tom and just working together. It was so easy. It was just so natural. And then I get them to open their eyes and their whole physicality has changed completely. And so I say to them, every time you talk to camera, I want you to imagine you're talking to Tom. That's it. Just one person. See that smile on his face. Hear the words that he's said about working together and how you've transformed their business or their life, if you're in services or whatever that looks like. And it's just like, it takes pressure off of us. So I use these exercises because instead of just going, inner critic feels very surface level. Give them names, really focus in on that relationship to them and just see where that changes it for you. Cool, Becky, I'm going to do this podcast with Tom. It's going to be great. Speaking down the barrel of the camera, what does Tom need to know today? Cool, I'm just going to do that and I'm going to press send.
All right, a quick word from one of our sponsors and then we'll get right back to the show. Today's sponsor is... it's me, Tom from Raw Lens. At Raw Lens, we create impactful video and stills content that captivates your community. If you're a business, organization, or individual with a message to share, then let's chat. Book your free Creative Spark session today at rawlensmedia.com. Let's bring your vision to life. Okay, back to me in the show. So it's not only the stories you tell others, it's a story you tell yourself.
Absolutely.
Who is this inner critic?
Yeah,
it's a very negative word, isn't it? Who is this person I want to make friends with on my shoulder?
Yep.
And who is the ideal client? What is it about me that people love?
Yes.
And they want to see?
Yes.
And where am I at my best and most energetic and interesting?
Yep.
Sorry, there's an ant on me.
That's all right.
I'll just cut there, sorry. Sounding amazing. You sound epic. You're nailing it. Cool, we've touched on that. Good story. All of that's cool. We'll go into one. We'll go into voice stuff, techniques, how you actually talk. Something that I want to personally get better at is tone and how you speak and sound, and how do I communicate more in a more engaging way.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts, tips, tricks around that people can speak in a way that is more engaging?
Yes. I have 5 speaking skills that I would love everyone to take away from this podcast and use as soon as they hear it. And the 5 are focusing on your tone. Because when we have information to share, how our audience hears it is how they're going to react to that information. Now, if you're speaking in a condescending tone, like maybe how you speak to your kids if they're doing something wrong, or it's in that vein of, I told you so, then people are going to hear that and it might be the best information that you have. It could change their business. It could change their life. It's the product that they've been waiting for. They're going to hear that tone and say, why should I listen to you? You sound like you're berating me, or you sound like you're being really condescending right now. But it also happens on the flip side as well. Let's say I'm at home with my partner and I want to communicate that we should go and buy this sofa. Now, if I was to come in and say, babe, we really need this sofa, he'd be like, but why? But if I changed my tone and I said, babe, we really need this sofa. Like the old one's really uncomfortable. You don't like lying on it. See how that tone has changed the way that you've heard that same sentence or the same offer. We need to get a new sofa. I've got a better reaction from him if I really understate it and just say, babe, we do need a new sofa. I mean, look at that thing. Rather than, babe, we need a new sofa. Like, look at that thing. It's such a different energy and it's a different intonation, of course. So the way in which you convey your information in that tone is going to matter hugely. I can hear my partner at home when he does any of his work calls, and I can hear where the tone changes for him. And so once he finishes that call, I'll be like, babe, you might need to adjust your tone because what I'm hearing is this. So just be mindful that the team that you've just presented to is also hearing it in that way. And he said, okay, I didn't even know I was doing it. A lot of times our vocal patterns are something that we've, taken in from our environment, how our parents speak, how people at school speak, our teachers, how people at work speak. So sometimes it's not our authentic way of speaking. It's just what we're used to. So when we're not aware of it, we just keep doing it. And it does take someone to pick you up and be like, actually, do you know what? That sounded a little condescending and I know you didn't mean it that way. So we just need to adjust our tone. Pace is huge. The speed in which we say things. When we're nervous, that speed ramps it up and we go from 0 to 100 so quickly because we might be looking down the barrel of the camera and we just say to ourselves, I've just got to get this done. I don't want to be here. This is really nervous. I'm not used to this. I'm just going to say it. And then hopefully Tom just yells cut and I can be done with it. But when we're distilling information that our audience has maybe never heard before, we need to give them time to register. And when we speed through something, we're not allowing that for them. So pace in which we speak is so important. I'd rather you really tone it down and really slow down that pace so that you get every word rather than just going 100 miles an hour.
Give me an example. Give me something to say and I'll do two versions of it and let's see how it comes out.
Okay, let's use the example of Old MacDonald had a farm.
Old MacDonald had a farm.
Yep, keep going.
E-I-E-I-O.
Yeah.
Do you want me to say the whole?
No. Okay. And
Old MacDonald had a farm, and on that farm he had some chooks.
Yep.
And
you're a dad. You have to do this bedtime stories all the time. I actually love this as a exercise for my parents who I've got as clients. Use story time as a way to bring in these speaking skills.
Yeah. Have fun with it.
Have fun with it.
Yeah.
Your kids are going to love it.
Yeah.
No one's looking at you like you're silly or you're being stupid or, they're not going to judge you.
Yeah.
Have freedom with it. Play with it. Lean on those delicious words.
Yeah.
Give pauses, and I'm going to get to pauses in a second, but slow down your pace to entice people. What's she going to say next?
Actually, it's funny. I actually was trying this the other day. At bedtime stories, and I was just playing with it. I was just, to play with inflection and dramatic and do all of that. And Joe, my wife, was just like, "What are you doing?"
Thanks, honey. I'm practicing.
But Jude was loving it. He was engaged.
Of course, they love it.
He gave it 10 out of 10. But speed in which we talk. I've seen that a million times when we film. I've seen the nerves just rattle off, and it's bringing attention to it. As soon as someone on the outside says, slow it down, they go, oh, yeah. What's speaking a million miles an hour? Okay. And then even the second or third time, no, a bit more, slow it down, slow it down.
It's going to feel awkward. But again, when we have these patterns of speaking for so long, it's until someone comes to us and says, hey, you're speaking a bit fast right now. They're like, 9 times out of 10, someone will be like, I know I was. They already know that that's what's going to be the feedback. But when you think you're going slow, go a little bit slower. I can speed up your voice. It's very, very hard for me to slow it down. So pace is really, really important. The third one, because we're there, I want to talk about pausing.
Nice pause. People are uncomfortable with this.
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
Do you just have to get used to it? You just got to
Yes, you
be
do.
comfortable. Find calm in that pause.
Yeah. When we can sit in a pause, it allows our audience to be there on the edge of their seat thinking, what is she going to say next? Also, what it allows is for whatever we've said before that pause to really sink in. Because if I am speaking a million miles an hour and I'm speaking about something that's quite technical, maybe I'm at a conference for medicine or something like that. Now, the words, the dialogue, the research, everything is so technical. Now, if I speak a million miles an hour and I go from point to point without any clear pause in there, my audience are none the wiser on this brand new study, the science, the research that you have spent years working on. So, and when you're live, we don't have the option to press pause and go back and listen to it again. It's just like, oh, press pause and go back and listen. We just don't have that in a live environment. And conversely, if I'm watching a video of someone and it's on social media, I really probably don't have the time to go back and listen to it again because you're just speeding through it and you're not allowing any of those beautiful moments to just stop and let it sink in. Normally, when you want to add a pause into things is after you've asked your audience a question. So how do you feel about climate change, Tom? But if I was to say, how do you feel about climate change, Tom? Do you think that this is probably a really great time that we should start thinking about renewables or fossil fuels or whatever? How do you feel about this? But then what did you think about that as well? You've got no time to think about that question and then respond.
And it's almost like not respecting their say in things, I guess, not respecting their time to marinate on whatever it dims whatever you've said to, diminishes its impact.
Yes.
Yeah.
So allowing a pause after you ask a question, but also allowing a pause when you've said a statement. Statements are there because you really want your audience to lean into this moment. Let them lean into it. Otherwise, we just keep skirting over ideas, concepts. They get to the end of your presentation or your video and you're just like, I don't know how I feel about things because you didn't give me a chance to sit in that, to think, reflect. So pausing is such an important part of our vocabulary. But what we have done in the last 100 years as human beings is introduced a thing that I cannot stand, and that is
I thought you were going to say TikTok. Sorry.
And TikTok. TikTok and ums can both go. But we've included in our vocabulary this word, if you can call it a word, but if you were to look it up in the dictionary, what would be your definition or the definition of
Thinking? There you go. It's a space filler. I don't know if it has a definition, does it?
It doesn't have a definition. It's not a word.
No.
It's something that we've introduced recently in the last 100 years. Shakespeare never used because we allowed for the pause. We allowed for space for ideas to be heard and understood.
Who was the first person who said
Oh, whoever they were, they should go down in the history books as the person who's ruined the English language because it has no relevance. And here is where starts to become a hindrance and detracts from our power to communicate as individuals. Just this morning, I presented a masterclass and I got everyone in the room to introduce themselves. And so I had 7 women. 5 of them said, hi, my name's Jacqui. Or they said, hi, I'm Jacqui and I'm a insert business, whatever it was. You should know what your name is and what you do for a living. With complete conviction, you should know those things.
People trip over this one every single time when I ask them in interviews.
Yep.
I noticed on one of your podcasts recently, you absolutely nailed that. That's harder than what you would think.
Yep.
Though. Your name and what it is you do.
Yep.
People the hell out of that.
They do. You should know that like the back of your hand. When you are standing in front of a room of 1,000 people and you've been paid $10,000 plus, some speakers on the circuit are making great money. If you your way through that, I have to question your fee, why you're on stage over somebody else, because quick segue here, but we are in the currency of attention, right? That's what people are playing with. Meta, Instagram, Facebook, they're playing with people's attention. It's no longer about ads, but it's how long I can keep people on our platform.
In a noisy world.
Yep, it's attention. If you are detracting from my attention because you don't have conviction and clarity, you're umming through things, I'm starting to think, okay, maybe I don't want to give you my attention. I'm going to give attention to the person who's speaking with confidence. They're owning everything that they're saying, and there's never an or a like or a that's entered into their vocabulary at all. I could do an entire podcast and not say because that's not what my audience needs from me. They need to learn things. So how can I distill that information in the most professional way possible, still being completely me? I'm not here as a robot, and I'm not speaking to you as a university lecturer, but you don't have time for We're all so busy. How can I distill this information to you as quickly as I can with good pacing, but without adding this filler that doesn't need to be there?
Yeah, it loses polish, doesn't it?
It does.
Off whatever you're communicating.
Absolutely.
And like, people should perhaps start there.
Yeah.
Like, who are you and what do you do? Get that right.
Yep.
Practice it over and over and over, because people perhaps think they can do that easy, but it sounds easy on the surface. But whenever we have the camera on people, they always trip over that.
Yep.
I'm Tom, and I'm a. Can we do that again?
Yeah.
It's a good place to start.
And when you're in a networking environment doing this exact same thing, you have 30 seconds to make an impression on someone. When you're on camera, it's 3. I think that's the research that they're doing on social media. You've got 3 seconds to make an impact on someone. Now, if you're starting that with, hi, everyone, I thought I'd jump on today and speak about this. And, one of my clients was telling me, it's just like, I'm bored. You haven't got to the hook of this video and the purpose for it and what I'm going to learn from you. I haven't gotten that, so I'm swiping. Like, that's how easy it is for you to lose my attention. So when we can take out all of this filler, and even if I'm on stage or on a podcast, I'd much prefer a pause than
And is it just awareness of it?
Yes.
Like, without scaring the pants off people who are already scared to get on camera? Is it practice?
Yes.
Without putting it live, without putting it out there.
Yeah.
Practice in front of the mirror or record your own and look back at it, see what you can improve. Is that the step for them, I guess, to ease into it?
Yeah. I love what you said before about the awareness piece. And sometimes we don't know that we're doing it until someone tells us that we are. Most of the time, if I ever ask the question, who's a tragic in the room, everyone knows that they're doing it. Everyone knows and is very aware. I have something that my clients do, and it's called the morning minute. So available to anyone who's listening or watching any of the clips, every single morning into your phone as just a voice note. I want you to speak for 1 minute about whatever you want. I want you to focus on your your likes, and then also where you are inflecting in the wrong way. So I'm going to get to inflections in a second because Australians are terrible at it.
On a state-by-state basis.
On a state, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure across the board, everyone's pretty terrible at inflections. And once you hear the example of it, you'll know straight away. But the morning minute, what that does for myself and my clients is just turn on that communication brain. We've gotten lazy with our language and our communication, hence why happens so frequently. And we just don't even know that we're doing it until we go, oh my God, I've just said it 5 times. The morning minute switches that part of your brain on. And so for me, when I do coaching calls, podcasts, or I present, the switch goes on for me. And I liken it to Beyonce and her alter ego, Sasha Fierce. So Beyonce is very quiet as a person, but when you see her on stage, you see a performer. She has to transform into this performer that we know and love and is one of the best of our generation. But she's not like that in everyday life. It's a switch. And so I liken it to the morning minute. It's a switch for me that says for the next hour I'm chatting to Tom, my sole focus is to communicate as clearly and concisely as possible. And that means getting rid of a few things that are just creeping in there.
Amazing. I'm going to try that.
Please do.
I like it. Has there been a time where you've implemented some of these changes with the business or with the client and you've seen the success and you've gone, yes, I've nailed it?
Yeah. The morning minutes really helped a lot of my clients because they actually send it to me. So there's a sense of accountability here. So that means that I will listen to every single day. They might get feedback from me, they might not. But the idea is that we're building this muscle. We're talking about what we were talking before about practice. The more I do this every single day, exponentially, I'm going to get so much better than what I was if I hadn't done this in the first place. You think about athletes or football players playing a game on the weekend, what they have to do every single day leading up to that game, doing all their training drills, doing all of this, practicing tackles, practicing their nutrition, everything. All of that happens so that on game day, they're at peak performance. They're not half-assing it. They're not, I'm just going to cram everything the night before and hope for the best. Every single day, something is happening for them to practice for game day. And so with your communication, all I ask is for people to spend 5 minutes on their communication every day. You will be just gobsmacked at how much better your skills will get in such a quick period of time.
When people send you those morning minutes,
Yep.
Are they a bit nervous, a bit scared to send it through? Or are they past that with you? They're okay with it. They're obviously signed up to better themselves.
Yes.
So they're okay with it?
Yeah, they're okay with it. I loved that there was a group that I worked with towards the end of last year, and it was a group program for 10 weeks. I introduced, because we weren't quite getting on top of the ums. And these were all women in an industry dominated by men. And these were all women who have gone on to become directors, senior associates. Like, they have actually brought forward their promotion period because of how confidently they were now showing up. Like, it's been incredible. But I introduced morning minutes about halfway through, so 5 weeks. They finished up with me in December. They are still doing morning minutes together because they're all there supporting each other. When they send me a voice note because they're just like, oh, can we do some extra one-on-one sessions or whatever? It's gone. It's like, wow. It's just they've completely removed it from their vocabulary, and it's so much more engaging, and it's just magic to hear.
What is it about? What is it about that feeling people have when they record something and it goes out there? I think it's a different fear to on stage.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that? Like, people presenting on stage often, I'll start that again because I'm rambling. There's a key difference between speaking on stage and speaking in front of a camera, I've found in my career. Do you see that as well? And can you pinpoint what it might be?
When you're speaking on stage or speaking in front of people, you have bought their attention just by being in the space, right? Having them there physically in front of you has afforded you certain, rights to, I can take my time with this, or I can get visual feedback from them. If someone's on their phone, if someone's yawning, if something's whatever, you're there in real time to, okay, I've got to change tact here, I'm losing them. Oh, okay, I'm getting lots of smiles, so that's working. I'll keep that in. Okay, great, that joke didn't land the way I wanted it to. Get rid of that, or I've got to rework the punchline. But when you're on camera, there's no feedback. And so people are in their heads thinking, oh, that was terrible because I did this. Oh, no one's going to get that. Or like, oh, that was terrible. I should never have sent that out there. But being seen is one of the most vulnerable places an individual can be. In life, in business, whatever that looks like. When that attention is on you, we feel it and it feels crunchy. But when you talk to camera and there's no human on the other side of that, it's hard to gauge if you're improving, if you're connecting, all of that sort of thing. But what I want to say is when you're starting out in the video content, posting stuff to social media, maybe doing a brand video for websites, which is on my list of things to do this year, you'll never know until you put it out there. And I guess the beauty of Instagram is that the stories disappear in 24 hours. Yeah, I really just want you to commit to leaving it out there for the 24. Because that rawness or that vulnerability or that maybe you stuffing up could actually be really endearing to someone. And they're like, oh, finally a normal human being, or finally a dude who's a mortgage broker that doesn't sound like they're in bro marketing. Like I feel I really connected with you on that video. They book in for a call, sign up. That's a mortgage client that you've just gotten because of a video that you internalized as terrible actually was something that the person connected with. So there's so much possibility in video content. And I just want you to send it, and I really just want you to applaud yourself for just putting it out there. And then whatever happens, you're going to get better. You're never going to get better from the video that you don't post. You're just never going to improve.
Just get out of your own way.
Get of your own way. If you think that every video is the opportunity for a $10,000 sale, would that stop you? No. Okay. Well, if Jack is telling me that if I post one video, I could make $10,000, would that make you do it? Yeah. I'm not going to say no to $10,000.
Yep. Give it a go.
Give it a go.
Give it a go. Improve on the fly.
Improve on the fly.
Yep. Love that. Thank you so much, Jacqui, for spending some time with me here tonight. And tonight we're getting into the night on Friday. But it's been awesome, and it's something I want to improve on. Doing the podcast is me getting out there and constantly tweaking and watching back and looking at things to become better and more engaging. And I think you're in a wonderful space to be able to teach people that, and I think you're incredible at it.
Thank you.
So I feel, very lucky to share space with you this afternoon. So thank you.
I really appreciate it. And I love speaking to other creatives. I think we understand the power of storytelling, and when you can make magic work on camera and have it in the palm of their hand or on their screens, whatever those screens may be, there's an impact there that is so different from other mediums. So yeah, I really love what you do and how we can connect and just keep talking about it.
It's fun. That's a good space. So what a job.
Yeah.
I've got one question I close with.
Oh yeah.
But where is Jacqui Maloney at most peace?
I love getting lost in a book. I love following a character journey. I love getting lost in the descriptions of the, people, place, time, all of those juicy elements that create a really great story. And so I think most people would assume that that's watching a TV show or a film or doing something like that. But I actually just love the most pure art form of just the written word. And it allows your imagination to kind of go off and do your own thing. When it's a film, it's done this certain way. But when you're reading someone else's words, you have a little bit more liberty to go, oh, but this, but that. And it just creates a bit more of an experience for me. So yeah, getting lost in a book is where I find the most peace.
Love it. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching the show. This podcast is truly a passion project for me and the small but awesome team behind the scenes. We pour our hearts into bringing you these honest and insightful conversations, but I can't tell you how much it helps when you hit that follow or subscribe button. The show gets bigger, which means we can expand the production and we can continue to bring in amazing guests from all walks of life. Please help us to do this thing that we love and hit that follow or subscribe button. We appreciate you being here. Thank you.